Everybody, welcome to the HubSpot Video Marketing Study Group Office Hours. This is November 16th, so we are rounding out the year here. If this is your first time to the Video Marketing Study Group Office Hours presentations, welcome. Thank you for joining us. And if you've been here before, you know the drill. We do this basically once a month. We do typically about a 30-minute session, and we cover relevant topics of the month. This time around, we're going to answer a lot of overarching questions we've received throughout the year within the study group. Some of these are repeated questions that we've answered before in some of these study group office hour sessions, but wanted to reiterate because there's a lot of good questions that we received throughout the year and want to just discuss them a little bit more at length. Let me head along here in the presentation. Like I said, if you're new here and this is your first time, let us know in the chat, who you are, your location, your company, and are you video marketing certified yet? We always like to gauge the audience on where we're at in certifications. If you're new here, welcome. My name's Aaron Oberdick. I'm the video marketing manager at Nextiny Marketing. Typically, I do these every month. So if you're interested in learning more just about video marketing, video topics, whatever it may be, you can join these on a regular basis. Let me grab the link so you guys have all registration links moving forward here. There we go. That's the study group. I believe in the next slide, actually. Yeah. So that link is for the study group. So if you're part of the study group, thank you for being a member. We get a lot of questions there. We have a lot of conversation. If you're not part of the study group, make sure you join this because it's a great place to just ask any video related questions. And it's a 24/7 area, right? So we have HubSpot employees on there. We have people all over the world talking and communicating. So just a great opportunity to connect with like-minded people and learn about some video topics. I'm also going to add in a link here to all of the events. So if you want to register for our next upcoming office hours, I believe that's in December, you can do that, as well as the 2024 events, which they're planning out. And then I have one more link here that I'm going to add in the chat as well. And that is going to be our video bootcamp. And I'm not going to talk a lot about bootcamp this time around because we discuss it at length a lot. But if you are interested in boot camps, it's a more in-depth experience. We go from starting with very surface level topic information on video and getting started with video. And then we go into more details on which videos you can start creating, how to get your video production set up, so on and so forth. So if that sounds interesting to you, definitely check out Bootcamp as well. And we will talk a little bit more about Bootcamp in the next office hour section next month. All right. So like I mentioned, the agenda today, we're going to just answering a lot of the questions from the study group, and then we'll hop into Q&A if anyone has any questions here. All right, so questions from the study group. This question piqued my interest because we get this question all the time, not necessarily the specific one, right? Can I use an older iPhone to shoot video, or should I buy a new camera? This question comes in probably, I don't know, a dozen times a week, saying, which camera would you recommend to purchase, to start creating video? And so I always recommend people getting started with video, utilize what you already have, right? Typically, you have a cell phone that probably shoots pretty good footage. All of the current iPhones, Android phones, things like that, they all shoot 4K video, and they're going to produce relatively good quality results. Even older iPhones, they still shoot pretty good. Every iteration of iPhone has gotten a little bit better with processing and making low light a little bit better. And just image quality is a little bit higher, but still, something as old as like an iPhone 8, 10, those are pretty good shooting video. And then the idea there is to just learn how to get started with video, right? You're not going to be making the best videos by getting started. You're going to create great content by reiterating this kind of process of creating video and learning how to enhance it, learning how to make it better each and every time. And then once you're really comfortable with shooting video at that point, let's say on your iPhone, then maybe you can start looking at opportunities to upgrade your gear and then start looking at dedicated cameras at that point. So Yes, you can absolutely shoot video on an older iPhone. We recommend that if you're getting started. And then again, if you're shooting video with your iPhone, you're going, this is great, but I just want a little bit better quality. Then I would explore the option of looking for a dedicated camera for video shoots. All right. So the next question here is kind of pertains to the same subject of phones and shooting. Can I combine footage from an iPhone and Android when editing? And this is a little bit of a loaded question, but I will say yes. It really boils down to what are uh, the way the videos are being compressed and the way they're just being essentially wrapped and enveloped into your editing platform. Most videos are being recorded with a .mp4 extension or a .mov extension. These are pretty universal codecs. So, when you're editing, they will concurrently work together. Now, that being said, there will be situations where you find yourself going, hey, these don't work together. And those are going to be proprietary situations. You might be utilizing a software that isn't universal and it doesn't accept all of these codecs. Or you might be recording with an Android phone that might have a different extension to record video. So there's a few off nuances that might be kind of creating a hiccup to make them work together. But more often than not, you're going to find those kind of universal files and they will work in conjunction with each other in an editing platform. Also, want to mention here, if you guys have any questions related to these topics as I roll through some of these questions and answer them, feel free to put them in the chat and then we can answer them in the Q&A at the end. Or if it's a relevant topic, we can just kind of touch on it at that moment. All right. So the next question here is, I already own an older digital camera. Can I use it as a webcam? And again, this question is maybe. So the big thing here to think of is, is the camera, let's say like pre 2010, at that point, you're starting to look at a camera that's really old and you're going to start having to figure out like, signal converters to get the signal out of the camera, and it's going to start racking up costs to get all of these conversions, and it's just to figure out if it may work. At that point, you may just want to invest in a kind of entry level 2023 camera because it's going to guarantee to work as a webcam. That being said, the biggest thing to look for is any sort of USB or HDMI video output. USB output can typically work with dedicated software. Like Sony has video out through USB, but you can only do it through Sony's specific platform. Other cameras have HDMI out, and typically that just provides a clean output. And so that'll output into any sort of input device that can accept HDMI, right? So any sort of like television or monitor or whatever it may be. So a lot of different opportunities there, but I would say the key indicator is look for your video output on your camera. If it's going to be like RGB connectors, right? Red, green, blue composite or component connections where even 5 connectors, I would say at that point, start looking to upgrade your camera into a modernized version. And if you do have USB or you have HDMI, that is your key indicator. Start looking at video output of your specific camera. All right, next question here is, I want to use video to bring more awareness to my brand. What type of videos I create? First thing I'll say is, if you have not been part of bootcamp, this is a great opportunity to talk about that because we have an entire week that's dedicated to video concepts. Week 1, we go over why video, why you should be creating video for your brand. And then the second week is all about video concepts, which videos you should start creating first. The one video that we always tell people to create to just get brand exposure is a brand video, a homepage video. This is going to be the first impression that people see with your product or your service or whatever you're offering in that sense. So the biggest key here is just making something that hits kind of your selling points, right? Like A, B, and C. These are my main topics of my product or my service. These are the ones I really want people to know about. And then you want to keep it concise, right? You want to keep it like 2.5 to 3 minutes and it's digestible. And you can also cut it down, let's say into 60-second chunks for social media. that's going to be your best opportunities to bring more awareness to your brand. Of course, there are so many other videos, that you can create for social media. Another video we like to recommend for this is more on the sales side rather than brand awareness, but email signatures are just a really great way to kind of personalize and create that human aspect when you're reaching out to people. So email signature videos are really good. And of course, you can just look up video concepts to start with, and you will find 100 different thousands of different ideas there. So, homepage video or brand video, and then be able to repurpose that content on social media. And then from there, I think you can take that and just kind of like go in a lot of different directions. All right. I see in the chat here, Russell says, today I bought a 1 year subscription to TubeBuddy to help better SEO on my YouTube channel. Nice. Do you have any tips to recommend or favorite tools there to use? Russell, not really for YouTube. We put all of our videos on YouTube and, we title them, we put the description and we put basic tags. But beyond that, we don't want people necessarily being in YouTube for our brand, right? We've talked about in the bootcamp kind of creating that redirect from YouTube to our website. That's our biggest goal for YouTube. So, we don't really go deep or heavy into the tools of SEO on YouTube. We just do that surface level stuff and say, okay, that's going to be enough at least for SEO purposes. And anyone that finds our videos on YouTube and then gets to our website, any way that we do that, that's kind of a successful redirect for us. So that's how we utilize YouTube. So the next question here is, how can I get more people to watch my homepage video on my website? Yeah, and that kind of directly correlates to SEO, right? There's 100 different directions we could answer this. SEO is going to be number one. Paid SEO is going to be another opportunity. Getting people to your website, like we just talked about. People always ask, hey, do you put your videos on YouTube or do you put them in, Wistia, for example? We put every video in both places because, again, the goal is to get people to our video or our website. So if we can get people from YouTube to digest our content and say, hey, this is pretty interesting. And then in our description, we're constantly plastering our website kind of everywhere. And they say, hey, I really like this brand. I want to learn more about it. Now they're redirected to our website and now we have better traffic there, right? So that's one opportunity of video opportunities and avenues to get people to your website. But of course, SEO, paid SEO research, that's going to be your best friend when it comes to just getting traffic to your website. And then, of course, then being able to watch your homepage video. What I always say, though, is make your homepage video very engaging at the start, right? You've gotten people to the journey this far. They've come to your website for a reason. The last thing you want to do is make that first impression boring or mundane or slow, right? You want people to kind of react to your brand in a positive way, and that homepage video is going to be that very first experience. So make sure that it kind of wows them or just gives them some really beautiful visuals and really clear messaging. So that way they're kind of walking into your website, they watch that video, and now they're even more dug in because they've really invested into that visual appearance that you've given for your brand. Okay, so this one's now kind of pertaining to a little bit of production quality. We talk a lot about that in the bootcamp as well, because it's a side that a lot of marketers aren't thinking of, right? Like as marketers, we're thinking about 100 different things, but typically production is not one of those things because it's just not relevant to the background, right? So this relates to more of that production standpoint. And the question is, I'm dark in my video and the background is too bright. Any solutions? I've talked about this before. I'm going to say it again. We talk about this at length in the boot camp. We talk about getting your backdrop set up, getting your lighting optimized, the whole 9 yards there. So I'll talk very briefly on lighting because that's going to be the entire situation from what I'm visualizing here, right? There's no frame for me to see and tell you exactly what you need to fix. But judging by what you're saying here, if the background's too bright, that probably means you have a window in the background of some sort, and it's probably daytime. So your window is probably trying to expose And so it's very bright outside. And in turn, you are probably in a normally lit room, but what's happening is your camera is trying to expose to the actual window, the outside. And so what it's doing is it's basically just taking everything around in the frame and it's dropping all of the exposure a lot because, again, it's trying to make that super bright sky be blue and look normal outside. So, probably the effect you're receiving. My biggest kind of takeaway here is if you can do a 180 in the room, do that. If you have a window in front of you versus behind you, you're going to significantly improve your lighting overall. And you're going to see that you yourself as the subject will become illuminated versus the background. Putting that window in front of you is going to do magic. Let's say you're in a room without a window for some reason. Let's say if it's a light in the background, can you flip that light off and then turn a light on in front of you? That's going to be the biggest thing. It's just getting any sort of light, uh, any reference of light in front of you. Right now, I have a lamp here up to my top left, and that's my primary source of light. That's what's coming in, and you can see it's a very gloomy day here in Florida. My background is a little bit dark, and it's definitely falling off on this side because my lamp is on here. But you can see lighting is going to be your best friend in this scenario. With a window and a lamp together, it's going to be make you perfectly exposed, and then your backdrop is all that light's going to fall off and it's going to be a little bit darker, so you're going to stick out as the subject. So that's going to be my biggest tip, is changing up your angling of your lights to make sure it's hitting you and not behind you. Okay, so here's the second to last question. We're going to talk a little bit about getting comfortable on camera. And this is something that everyone struggles with for sure. Even myself, I struggled with it very early on. I'm a natural videographer, so being in front of the camera is a little bit difficult, especially when you're trying to kind of reframe your brain and say, hey, I'm now in the front behind rather than behind. So there's a couple different things you can do, right? Practicing is going to be the best solution here. I can say confidently that 6 months it took me to even get remotely comfortable. It was me basically backseating with my boss. He kind of did all the presentations and I just chimed in every once in a while until I took over. And then we had someone behind me kind of fill in the gaps there. So it's all about just practicing and practicing and practicing. Repetition helps you a lot. And the most comfortable thing is, sans these live sort of events, right? You record your videos and you edit them. So when you're editing, you'll find that you can remove all of the embarrassing things, all the things that you feel like you're screwing up or you feel like you're not doing a good job on, or you're just not saying it well enough, right? You can remove all of that stuff. And at the end, no one sees it in the final video. So just know and feel comfortable knowing that you'll be able to cut out all of the things that go wrong. By doing that and then continuing to practice, it will just naturally get better. One more tip I have is teleprompters. So if you have an opportunity to potentially get a cheap teleprompter, a lot of people utilize their phones and just get a free teleprompter app. If you're able to angle it directly underneath the lens in a way, that will help as well. But that's going to be last resort, right? Or if it's something that you essentially need to read a script off of, if you are trying to organically present something, I would not recommend a teleprompter because that almost gets a little bit mundane and monotone, and because you are reading rather than presenting. So I highly recommend teleprompter as a last resort, but if you need it, check out. There's tons of free apps on teleprompters. Excuse me, guys, for 1 second. I'm just going to blow my nose. I'm getting some allergies here, so that's always fun. All right. And then the last question we have is about editing platforms, right? So that's going to be kind of your finalized side of video, right? We talk about this in the boot camp: pre-production, production, and post-production. It's where you plan everything, where you shoot everything, and then where you edit everything. So now we're talking about post-production and editing platforms. And are there any editing platforms that automate subtitles? This is a specific question, but I wanted to answer it because HubSpot has added the ability to automate all of your subtitles. So you can transcribe your videos through HubSpot, and then you can add in hard-coded subtitles to your videos, or you can add in caption videos as a file. So that way you can toggle them on and off in the video. So HubSpot Video does do automated subtitles. There's other platforms out there like Descript. That's a free trial or free demo program that will transcribe all of your videos as well. And then you can just implement subtitles from there and export the video. So a couple different options. HubSpot Video and Descript are the two that I recommend, but there are plenty out there. If you just Google any sort of video transcription editing software, I guarantee you will find something there. All right. And that answers all the questions I wanted to just cover or go over for this particular month. I will now put it into Q&A. And as a side note, this is our second to last office hours of the year. Of course, we'll have one more into late December. So if you want to come to that one, we'll probably do a bootcamp recap / bootcamp review because then we'll be jumping actually into bootcamp in January. So if you're interested in learning kind of what bootcamp's all about in 2024, feel free to sign up for the next video marketing office hours and we'll talk about it then. But we are now into Q&A. I'll open the floor for about a minute. I know we got a few people here. So if you guys have any questions, now would be the time. If not, we'll go ahead and wrap it up in about a minute. I appreciate everyone's patience. My allergies have been running wild this week as well, so I apologize for the little bit nasally presentation today. Any tips for TikTok? That is, I wish I really do wish I could give you some advice, Russell, but TikTok is the one platform that Nextiny we've kind of just not touched because we're not big social media presence people. And TikTok is definitely the one we've veered away from the most. So I can't really help you out too much there, unfortunately. I downloaded Instagram the other day. I haven't utilized Instagram in, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. And I had no idea what I was doing. It looked so completely different than it used to. So video has definitely taken over a lot of the social presence. I know Instagram used to be just photos and now it's just strictly video more or less. So all right, guys. So if you guys have any more questions, of course, you can ask in the study group. We'll be happy to answer there. And of course, make sure to register for next office hours and you can ask questions to there as well. And I believe I put in the bootcamp link in the chat. Yeah, it's in the chat there. So those are the 3 things that we always like to talk about on a regular basis. Make sure you register for all those events. And if you guys have additional questions, you can email me at aaron@nextinym.com. Thank you for coming again, and we'll talk to you. We'll see you in the next office hours. Take care.